Hello, my friends. Today's date is December the 17th, and this is a reading for you if this is your birth date. Or if this is a special event or an anniversary, you can see how this applies to what you might experience this year. But primarily, this is a birthday reading for those born on this date. December the 17th. So, this is a four-card reading, a general energy card for the year, a challenge you might face this year, an action you can take to stay in balance, and an outcome or synopsis card. So, this is the general energy card for the year, and it is Eros. And Eros, most of the time we think about Eros and eroticism, that hypersexuality, that obsession, almost addiction, fantasy, for sensual fulfillment kind of energies. But Eros is much more even than that. Eros is that sense of when the heart really feels a want to unite with another human being, or nature, or art, or music, or food, or something else that it thinks is separate from itself, that you think you are separate from. So your year this year will be about feeling these passions, to open your heart and to try new energies in your being. Try new momentary glimpses of that magic of union, of new starts to your sensuality and your maybe even your sexuality and your own stirring up of your own root system and your own excitement and your own sense of empowerment, because it is power that is exchanged when we meet something and do something, or meet someone that stirs this up in us, and this power inside of us exemplifies this passion, this eros, this dynamic of wanting some kind of communion with particularly another person. But this could be nature and anything else. But if this is about, someone else, this is we have to go to the root of what are you really looking for in love? What are you really looking for? What do you really desire? What are the roots of your desire? And often, why are you afraid of intimacy? Why are you afraid of showing yourself deeply to another? So this is and this can be, Eros can be a brotherly love, a sisterly love, but it's a love, it's a connection, it's a joy, and it's a depth into your own, a dive into your own emotional balance, to show who you are, to know who you are, to feel who you are deep in your sense of yourself, a love for another, a deep friendship for another, but an openness, a sharing of energies. So this is that possibility this year is very much there for this year, and in possibly many different forms, but in particular probably someone or something that really pushes your level of wanting to merge with it or them comes to you, and you have to you're going to be questioning yourself on some levels about what are you really looking for? What are you really excited by? What do you really want? And why do you hesitate to give intimacy, versus why are you blasting yourself completely open for something that may, at some point be, even obsessive and addictive? So there's all those ranges of power that goes through Eros that we get to look at. So this is the particular challenge for December the 17th. It is the Four of Wands, normally a very, in its upright position. This is a card that says you know who you are in a lot of ways. You've made great strides to understand your passions, understand your will. You've willfully done things that have brought you to your center, that give you a sense of balance, that give you a sense of, I think, light on your path. And there's a solidity, there's a solidity, there's a foundation that you've grown within yourself, within your sense of your push and your fire and your desire. But something is challenging that right now. Something is coming up against that, and that could be very much a sense of eros. You're attracted to something or someone that you are questioning why, or you're questioning how, or you're questioning what does it mean, or does it live up to what I want? Does it live up to my dreams? Does it live up to my higher expectations of myself? So there's all these kind of energies that I think make you hesitate to want to jump into something erotic, because there's a sense you might lose yourself, or lose your foundation, or forget your way, or become absorbed and obsessed into something else that makes you forget, or find apathy toward, or completely negate some of the other positive things you think you've created in your life. So there's this hesitancy to jump into, maybe it's even a deep friendship, or maybe it's love, maybe it's lust, maybe it's just tasting something that others say is bad for you, but you still want to taste it. Maybe it's foods, that you want to go explore. Is there anything wrong with that? Well, maybe. Who knows? More seems like more minor in this production. So this is more to something, either a person or possibly a substance that really could be very addictive, obsessive on some levels for you, if you allow yourself to open. But also, do you allow yourself to open because you're afraid of what might be underneath there? Are you afraid of what your love will really feel like? Are you afraid of showing yourself in a deep way because maybe they'll reject you? So there's all those kind of senses of self being in question right now. So what is the action you can take? Well, Coyote. Coyote's the trickster. And Coyote often, goes about great tales of Coyote always going about wanting to fulfill some kind of will that it has, and in the end, Coyotes, has tricked themselves into, falling into the pond, or getting smashed by the anvil by the roadrunner, or some kind of mayhem happens to Coyote, but the Coyote laughs it off and goes on his way. And that's the sense of what Coyote medicine is. There are things that happen to us that can be absurd, can seem crazy, that can be make us angry. But why not learn to laugh about them? Why not give some mirth to your own situation? Lighten up on yourself. Trust your path. Trust your connections to spirit. Trust your sacred abilities and connections, and go do something maybe erotic. Maybe let yourself experience something that you wouldn't have let yourself experience before. Maybe it's love, maybe it's passion, maybe it's sensuality, sexuality, maybe it's some kind of test, initiation to yourself in your shamanic realms of learning how to be with yourself in other worlds, in other journeys, in other senses of yourself. That could easily be this too, some kind of new spiritual calling that feels so inviting to you, but it goes against your sense of, what others think you are in your, society, or your religion, or your family. But you have to feel into your heart, and you have to feel into your soul, and you have to trust yourself, and you have to trust your connection to the sacred, and you just got to go for it. I think that's what Coyote says. Just go for it. And if you fall on your face, laugh about it. And if you fall out of grace with some, well, you have to laugh about it on some level, because that just shows where others are and where you are. And if you can laugh about it and keep going forward, and keep trusting yourself, and keep trusting your connections, and keep You can be holy and sacred and still be deeply involved with something or someone. You can be holy and sacred in the acts of sex, in the acts of sensuality. You can be sacred and holy in the acts of communion and soul sharing. You can even be deeply sacred in the senses of trying many different substances that could help you to understand things better. And you have to always have that mind out for, well, if this is something that's really going to hurt me, I don't want to do it. Or if something I could become drastically attached to and obsessed by and addicted to, then you're going to have to question. And that's a good question. But it doesn't mean that you're not sacred, and it doesn't mean that you're not holy, and it doesn't mean that you're not, a wise person. So act wisely, but keep going forward, and let the trickster cause you to laugh some. And you're going to go through most of the challenges that you meet, and you're going to go through most of the balancing act that you need to come to a sense of a truth and authenticity in yourself. And what, after all, what else is there but finding the holiness in yourself, finding the sacred in your journey, even those things that take us down roads that seem dark. Maybe we needed to go down there. Maybe we needed to experience that. Maybe we need to remember in our journey that we are sacred and connected, and the only way to do that is to experience something really dark and heavy that makes us look at ourselves deeply and says, now, where are you in your journey? So light your fires. Remember you have great fires. Remember you have great connections. Remember that you are connected to spirit and you're sacred, and learn to laugh about what happens to you. And more, that will be the sense of how you go about your life and your journey. Ahom Ataklias, and blessed be.